Hello all, welcome to my channel Kentronics. So today we'll be looking at Arduino ID. We'll be looking at the code which posts data from our Arduino Ethernet shield to MySQL database. So what does that is a PHP script which we've written on our server or a WAMP server that sends the data to our MySQL database. So you could also follow us Kentronics, like our video if you find it helpful. So basically this is more like a test code. It's not really meant for production, but I will guide you as to where you could make changes. Okay, so we're using an Ethernet shield. We're using the spi.h library. We're also including the ethernet.h library. So we have our sensor pin, which is on pin A5. Okay, so for today also, I also forgot to tell you, I will only be looking majorly at the Arduino ID and the Arduino code. In our next series of video, we'll be connecting everything and testing with our PHP script. And in our third series of video, we'll also be looking at connection with the integrating it with the MySQL database, so as not to make the whole video too bulky. Kindly check our channel for future videos. Yeah, so for the MAC address, you can see enter a MAC address for your controller below. Newer Ethernet should have a MAC address printed on a sticker on the shield. So for this one, this is the default MAC address that came with it. The IP address, this is a static IP that you set. So I use 192.168.88.251. So it's dependent on what your LAN, what's running on your LAN, the DHCP IP range that is being sent by your router. So you could check that and use that to configure. So for instance, if you can log on to your router, check the issued IP address list, and then you should be able to pick the next one that's available. Yeah, so Ethernet client, so you're just initializing the Ethernet client library. Car server, so for instance, if my server was let's say kenchtech.com or google.com, you could just write google.com here, but we're writing car server, we're writing 192.168.88.252 because it's a server running on my system, on another system. So it's a local server, it means a WAMP server. Yeah, so you can see I wrote it there, my IoT VM on VirtualBox, so a system IP hosting WAMP server. Yeah, so it could also be a cloud server, because I was doing projects then that I had to use my GCP cloud platform. So you could also put the IP address there and to work. So far your router has internet access. For this to work, you don't really need an internet access, you just need like a router that has GCP enabled and you're good to go. So status post data too, so we have string post data, we have string post variable equals to temp equals to. So later I'm going to explain this, take note of this, very important, especially the equals to. So string post data 2, string post variable 2 equals to, this is and in C, this means and temp C and space temp C equals, so this equals also very, so string review is also very important. So we go into the void setup. The void setup just runs at the beginning, so you also have your void loop that runs continuously. So do serial.begin 9000, that's the ports that we're going to be using. Yeah, the serial ports we are going to be using. Yeah, so set that frequency of 9000. So while serial, not serial, so when wait for serial port to connect, needed for native USB ports only. So start Ethernet connection. So basically let me explain to you. So this whole story here is just to check if our Ethernet shield is working properly, if it's powered on, if it can receive IP via DHCP. Most times it fails, so it goes over with the static IP. So let's run through it. So you see, serial.println initialize Ethernet with DHCP. If Ethernet.begin MAC address MAC equals to 0, serial.println is failed to configure Ethernet using DHCP. Yeah, so if Ethernet hardware status, so no hardware, the print serial shield was not, internet shield was not found, sorry, cannot run without hardware. So delay one, so very like microsecond. Yeah, because 1 second is like 1000. So if Ethernet or link status equals to link off, shared or print line, Ethernet cable is not connected, so that means there's no Ethernet cable. So Ethernet.being, so try to configure using IP address of DHCP. So now we use the MAC address and then the IP address, static IP address we define in the beginning. That's this 192.168.88.251. But notice I'm using comma to separate the numbers instead of dots, so that's what we use. So where are we? So connecting, straight up in like connecting, delay 1000. So 1000 is 1 second, so give it 1 second to initialize. So we also define, so we want to be able to know what IP address was actually assigned to the Ethernet shield. So the IP address, IP equals to Ethernet.local IP. So we defined IP, give IP variable. So serial.print IP address, so put serial.print line IP. So that tells us what IP has been assigned to the Ethernet shield. So now we go over to our void loop. So do int reading. Int that's integer reading equals to analog read sensor pin. So you could also go, if you're not familiar with Arduino, you could go over and test with the examples whereby you check out sketchbook. Okay, examples whereby you test the basics of analog read, digital read and all. So analog read sensor pin. So I told you this is a test code, so you could also use actual sensors. So but with this, what's the analog read, I'm actually getting values, yeah, random values. So float voltage equals to reading times 5.0. Yep. So voltage divided, so whatever I get, let's say I get 200 here. So 200 times 5, that's what, 1000. Yeah. So we come here and say voltage also so voltage 1000 divided by 1024. Yep. So voltage going to be voltage divided by 1024. That's what this code means here. So float temperature C equals to voltage minus 0.5 times 100. Just a formula. So that gives us temperature C. That's one value we've gotten. That's one random data we've gotten. So temperature F, temperature C times 9.0 divided by 5 plus 32. So that's more like Fahrenheit. So that was more like Celsius. You get that. So yeah. So post data is equals to post variable. Post variable, if you remember, our post variable was temp equals to. I'll show you here. So you look at post variable, we defined it as temp equals to post variable 2 and temp C equals to. Yep. It's very important, because when at the PHP side of things, when you want to know what you sent, you need, so you can see we are looking for temp. We are looking for temp. See, don't worry, next video we'll look at that. So so we come here, review. So post data to post variable 2, which is temp C, and temp C plus temperature C. What's temperature C? That is this value. So reviews equals to post variable plus temperature F plus post variable 2 plus temperature C. Or it's just my own idea of writing it that way. So you could also write it. So this is just what you just sent. So post variable, so because C might not allow you to be able to write it this way, because they have different values. So you see string and float. That's the issue you'll be having. So temp equals to post variable is temp equals to plus the string temperature F, and so that's the different. This now is a different data, and temp C as post variable 2 equals to temperature C. So that and which we put there now, the system will see it. Oh, so this is a new variable that we are sending. So I put now if temperature F, that is if this is greater than or equals to 80, Then again, if client.connect, so if the Ethernet shield is able to connect with the server at port 80, so do you can also check online for the structure, for the post structure, but this is how it goes: posts, then slash test slash im. So this directory, this is, so this test slash email script, they are in a particular folder. There are subfolders inside the www dot folder. So let me explain what I mean. So let's say we have WAMP server, or let's say if it's Apache under www. So you open that, that's where you see this. So you can see it's under that, same thing as localhost, this particular www. So your localhost slash test, then slash email script dot php. So that's what's happening here: post slash test slash email script dot php, then space http slash 1.1. So that's the address I'm sending it to. So the host, that is the IP address of your server. Then content type application slash s dash www dash form dash on length coded. So content length, so for posts you have to send the content length, so it has to know what's the length of data that is coming in. So you do review dot length. Review, remember this is review, which we also looked at here. I showed you what review is. So review, so say client.print review. So delay 1000, that is for 1 second. Then also want to be able to see what was the data that was actually, so what is post data and what's post data 2. So actually want to see what was being sent, actually what was being sent to the server. So from the serial monitor, so as I said, serial print line email sent. Doesn't mean that the email was sent actually, but so you say serial.print line post data value, whatever I put there, but I put email sent, and so it's print shows you what post data is, and then you put email sent, it shows you what post data 2 is. Just to confirm that okay, these were the variables that were actually being generated. So now we want to see the reply from the server. So also from your PHP code, also you could know, because you've defined these values here, temp f and temp f and humid. So with that, you could see that, you see that in your reply from the server, and you see the value. So if there are no values there, that tells you that the server didn't get those values, the server didn't get those post values. So that's an issue. But with this reply now, you can see, so it says while client.connect, so while there's a connection between the Ethernet shield and the server, if client is available, if the server is it's like English, if the server is available, this is what it's going to do: read incoming bytes from the server and print to the serial monitor. So c equals to client.read, it continues reading, share.print c, so it prints it to just print, continue reading. That's what's happening. So you're just reading data that's coming from the server, then delay, wait for 1 second, wait for 1 second. Then if client does, so if it's even after reading, if it's still connected, you're actually meant to close it. So that's what we're doing. So you say client does stop, then we now do delay 6000. That delay 6000, you could increase it to 10,000 if you like. So what that means is that this is in a loop, so probably it runs every 10 seconds. So that's that on that. I hope I've been able to convince you and give you a thorough explanation as to what's going on here in the code. In our next series of video, we'll be looking at testing. We'll be looking at an Arduino, testing the code, testing with our Ethernet shield. We'll see it run, we'll see if there are errors with the PHP script. They're also looking at sending that data and post data to our MySQL database. So feel free to like our videos, follow us on YouTube. Thank you all for your time.